that all right?
Yeah, can you bring it down a bit, Joe?
Come on, Jay.
Okay. Hello. Yeah. Hello and welcome to another episode of Grange TV. That was a technical malfunction by Eli, not by me. We have with us Robert Whittaker, as always, Alex Volkanovski, and the great Joe Lopez, living legend from the South Coast. How are you, gentlemen?
Very good. Master Splinter, I call it. Master Splinter.
When did that name come about?
That was from your mate, wasn't it?
Yeah, back from the day.
KO calls him the Master Splinter. I remember him saying it once. I'm like, that's it. That's going to stick. It's stuck ever since.
And I've got my apprentice Splinter here next to me.
Hey, congratulations on that. Was an amazing fight, that last fight with Chad Mendes. By the way, I just want to put this out there. I'm not a bandwagon jumper. I messaged you over a year ago. Never replied to me. Thank you. That made me fucking feel awesome.
Sorry about that. Really?
So, yeah,
I usually get back to everyone.
So, not to me.
Sorry, mate.
So, I was on the bandwagon a long time ago, but congratulations and thanks for putting me in my place, I guess.
Power plays.
Yeah, the full fucking power play. No, but good on you, man. That was an amazing fight. Do you want to talk about that fight a little bit?
Yeah, it was obviously an unreal opportunity when we got that fight. I called for that fight. I called him out, but to actually get that fight, I was blown away. I was like, we got it. So it was unreal. Yeah, I could hear myself in the background. And then got that fight, and then obviously on a card like that as well, and then to start off the main card with a fight like that, we end up getting fight of the night, and then taking out someone like Chad Mendes. So it was the whole time I'm telling myself, Chad Mendes, I can do this, I can do that. Like obviously you got to stay confident, and in the interviews you're saying what's going to happen. I pretty much said exactly how it was going to go, but after the fight, I was still like, that was Chad Mendes, you know what I mean? So it was unbelievable, and just very happy with how it turned out. How
much does it affect you, the name, like the guy's name, like Chad Mendes being the big name that he is? How much does that affect you going into the fight?
Well, going into I'm usually got my head screwed on pretty well, so I don't usually worry too much about that sort of stuff. Obviously, little things are gonna, you're gonna have these little doubts here and there, and then I'm pretty good at throwing them away, and I know I've got a job to do. But I reckon that's why it's, a lot of people are like, oh, how's the nerves and all this. I don't really get too nervous, and I don't really think like that. But I reckon I hold a lot of that in. Because straight after the fight, every time I finish my fight, I'm just like, it feels like the weight of the world's off my shoulders. So I always say that to people, it's just a relief after I have a fight. And I reckon that's because of that. Like, I'm always, trying to be calm, collected. I want a clear head when I go in there. I'm so focused on trying to be me in there, and, I don't want everything to be overwhelming. I reckon that's what it is. Like, I really do, because that's, every time someone asks, I go, oh, just a relief. And I think that might be why. I just try and knock all them things away. But after it, I'm like, again, like you said, the name was like far out. You just did that to Chad Mendes. He's only lost to, future Hall of Famers, you know what I mean? Like Frankie Edgar, Jose Aldo twice, and Conor McGregor. So, and now I'm on that list. So it was just an unreal feeling.
What was the perspective like for you, Joe?
Again, I try and stay pretty calm. I take each fight, whether it's an amateur fight or a big fight on the UFC, I try and stay the same all the way through. I mean, after the fight, because Alex had a bit of blood, I actually went down and got the wet towel to come inside to clean his face, not realising that they've got guys in there to do that for you in the UFC, because I just try and stay the same. So I don't like or try and anything get to us or anything, so whether we're fighting a guy for his first amateur fight or Alex fighting for the title, I'm going to treat each fight the same, try and not change anything around,
So backstage he's still giving me shit like he would the first couple of times. Bit of the banter all the way through.
Yeah, a lot of people look at us sort of funny because we're in the back and we're bantering and laughing and carrying on, because I want the guys to stay calm and not get their adrenaline pumping till it's time, 5-10 minutes, or when their hands are getting right, we start the build up, and then and then it just slowly builds up from the hand wraps. Really, we put on the pads and getting a little bit more, and then the walking out. That's just the unbelievable feeling. Walking out to that many people.
How does it feel fight day for you? After you've made weight, that period after you've made weight, I assume you're just, the thoughts are on the food, the rehydration, just trying to relax.
Hard part's done.
Yeah, but it gets real when fight day. How does that play itself out for you?
Well, again, sort of what we were saying, we just try and be as normal as possible. So I know everyone's different. Obviously, everyone has their approach. They approach differently. Me, I just want it to be any other day. Obviously we've got a big fight to worry about, but I don't want to just be sitting there, sitting in a room, listening to music in my zone, just thinking about it all day. I want to be doing things we went to a shopping centre, got another feed and just things like that, and then obviously got to be back for the bus trip and all that sort of stuff. But again, it's just we literally have a laugh like we would any other day, but at the same time we know there's a job to do. When I'm hitting pads and all that, I'm focused 100% on the pads, on my job, what's to do, and as he's wrapping his hands, we're having a laugh. But it's just I don't know, I guess everyone's different. What about yourself? How about you? I know I don't think I'm meant to be asking the questions, am I? But
do whatever you want. We're just having a conversation.
Yeah, that's it.
It was chatting. I guess that day, fight day, is the day that I allow myself to obsess on kind of what I need to do. I try, most of the prep and the thing, the weeks leading into it, I'm kind of very no emotions. Just try and let it go. Not think about it, not obsess too much about it, not think about too much about it. Just because once I start thinking about it, the adrenaline starts to flare up, all the emotions come out, but I guess fight day, I allow myself to do that, and I allow myself to think about the fight and to act as I should, to switch on, and then but I also in the back of my mind have that thing there that all right, whatever's going to happen is going to happen there for that split, that small amount of time, and then it's done. And I look at the clock and it'll be, I don't know, 3-4 o'clock, and then the fight's at 7 or whatever. And I know I tell myself, within 8 hours, I'll be back here on my laptop. Little things like that. And it just, that's kind of how I get rid of the nerves.
Yeah.
But then sometimes, I say that, but emotions aren't exactly easy to control. There'll be nights I'm at home thinking about the fight in bed at 12:30, flinching, flinch punching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, like I said, I'm usually pretty good with that sort of stuff, but there will always be 1 or 2 nights where you're just constantly thinking of how that fight's playing out. But usually once I get, that'll literally happen maybe once in the whole camp, but it does happen. But again, back there, obviously when I'm saying this, I want to be as calm and and just be normal as possible. But obviously, I'm on the way to the fights, I'm thinking of things. I'm trying not to let it overwhelm me, but I'm still thinking of how it'll play out. Just it's hard to explain. So I am thinking about it, but at the same time, I'm just trying to stay chill. And I think a way of doing that is I break it up. Like I said, we'll just sit there, have a chat, have a laugh, and then then I will think about the fight a bit. Oh yeah, this is going to happen, and all right, you're doing this for your family, and all that sort of stuff starts coming in and makes you really all right. We've got a job to do, but at the same time, I just like I always say to people, I just play what's in front of me. You see, I could be there hitting pads, and I'm completely 100% focused on pads. Then you come and talk to me about soccer, and I'll just start having a good conversation about soccer. That's just how I am. And then he goes, all right, back on the pads. All right, sweet, switched on. I don't know. I guess that's just how I am. My missus always says because boys can't do 2 things at once. So I reckon that works for me anyway. I can't do 2 things at once.
But you're very good at compartmentalising stuff and being able to separate.
Exactly
this
right.
is what I'm doing now, and that's what I'm doing.
100%. So a lot of times, if there's a problem, like say there's something that is playing in my mind, take me training, it's gone. Or take me to fight, it's gone. I'm not worried about that. So I guess it's a good thing.
Are you able to? When we were speaking with Tim before, you were talking about you are able to do that as well, compartmentalise things.
Yeah, you kind of have to. because what we do, there's no room for other thoughts. That's how you get injured. Like very much the same. Like I'll go, sometimes something happened to my family or something will stress me out, and I'll be thinking about that the whole way on the way to training, and I'll feel shit. We have bad days sometimes, but then I get to training and we start working and it goes, and then after training I feel much better. It balances me out. It just balances all the chemicals out of my head.
Mate, it's so
Are you
true.
able to compartmentalise as well as Alex and Rob?
Yeah. I mean, it took me 2 days after the fight to actually realise, to sink in that we'd actually beat Chad Mendes. We were sitting there with the guys, and it actually sunk in. It took me 2 days. The first day and a half, I just didn't really. It was just another fight, But
I know what you mean by that, because I'm the same. Like, I have to watch back the fights, or like even this is like a couple of days after, or even the next day, I'll watch the fight and sort of remind myself that I just fought like Chad Mendes, or I just won a big fight, because I completely, like I told you, I completely forget about that, and I'm just back to being daddy at home, and then I'll be like, all right, watch the fight. Oh yeah, far out. Look, it's crazy.
How underrated do you think you were going into that fight? Not necessarily odds, but I'm talking about like how much do you think maybe Chad Mendes as well thought, whatever.
Yeah, no, 100%. I honestly, there's guys that really understand the game and know the game, that, because I'm the type of person that I will go look and like see what analysts think and all that stuff like sort of revs me up, and I'm like, can't wait to prove people wrong sometimes too. So I've seen a few people say it, but there were still people that go, no, I reckon Alex can do it, saying stuff like that, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. But obviously, I was an underdog. It was the first time I've been an underdog, which I was sort of like happy with. I'm like, oh no, I can prove people. So that didn't play anything on my mental side of things at all. But I reckon, yeah. So I was seeing everywhere like, oh yeah, he's just a way better version of himself. Like they'll say stuff that, yeah, he's explosive, and things like they'll say things. I'm going, yeah, you're right, but I mean, MMA is so much more than that. I don't care how explosive he is. If he's got tendencies, which I knew that we're working on. I knew when I put the pressure on him, and when I'm throwing.
What did you see? What were the things, or Joe? What did you see that were the tendencies that Chad Mendes might have had that you guys could have exploited?
Well, Chad is like a very explosive fighter, so he sort of sits back and then he sort of pounces on you. And our whole game plan was just to put pressure and try and wear him out. We knew he was going to take us down. We knew we were going to take a couple of shots, but we were ready for that. I mean, at one stage there, when he took Alex down, Alex is shrimping back to the cage and he's saying to us, having a full-on conversation, I'm up now, don't worry, boys. I don't know whether you heard it, but it was. I sort of had a little laugh to myself. I don't know what Chad must have thought. Well, he's having a conversation and he's trying to keep him down, and he's going, I'm up,
Yeah. That was it.
It must have played on Chad's mind,
Had Brad Riddell on the back, because I look up as he's there, and I've just pushed his head there, and I started butt scooting to the cage, and I knew I was up, and I could see him. He's like sort of Brad, I'm like, I'm up, relax, calm down. Like I'm saying that to him. I just got
that takes a massive toll on the guy that's such an explosive wrestler. If he takes you down, he can't hold you down.
Exactly right. Well, that's the thing. You got to remember, he is so explosive. Where if I'm so worried about them takedowns, them punches would have landed clean. Every one of his punches that he threw, I pretty much seen coming. So I was putting that pressure, I was throwing the fakes, and I was drawing the reactions out of him. And I was aware to make him miss, make him block him, and then come straight back on him. And I just knew that, because he's so explosive, and that's what he does. I knew he would just try and, I was sort of panic punch and panic shoot, and I knew I'd draw them out of him. And I think that's exactly what happened. A couple snuck through, and obviously I went down. But it got me fight of the night, so I don't care about that. So it got me that extra money. But at the same time, I sort of seen everything coming. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, he was landing. But honestly, that was a part of my game plan. Let him throw, shell him up, come straight back on him. Again, some snuck through, but that's the game.
That was kind of like, that was how I saw you winning. Like more than anything else was that I didn't see you quitting. and I could see quit in him.
Mm-hmm.
He's quit before.
Yeah.
Like, he's a great fighter. I like him. Like, I respect him as an athlete. But I've seen him quit in fights.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that, like, if you, as long as you stayed cool and calm and you just didn't let him have have his way,
Mm-hmm.
he would eventually quit, because you're tough as nails. Like, you show that every single fight. I think that was the biggest thing that I saw, like, coming into that fight. I have another question, but now, you said that you look up the analysts and stuff, and that being the underdog fires you up a bit. I'm very much as similar. Like, when someone tells me I can't do something, I think, like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, and that G's me up. How does it feel, though, when you're the favourite?
Again, like, I'm just so good at. I'm so good at. I guess a word I could say is leveling myself, maybe. So if it's on the other way around, again, I'm just, trying not to worry about. Because when I was a favourite for Shane Young, because Shane Young was a replacement, there was probably
Where
a
does
lot
Shane Young train?
at City Kickboxing.
That was
So he's one of my trainer partners.
yeah.
But so there was actually more pressure, because everyone's like, and late replacement. I'm like, at the end of the day, these guys are.
It's going to try and kill you.
Well, yeah, they're on a tear. Like, just because they're not in the UFC doesn't mean they're not good. Like, we've all been there.
And it doesn't mean their punches don't hit
Exactly
as hard.
right. They could be on an absolute tear, and like most people won't. You know what I mean? So I was there. So I felt like everyone's eyes would walk in the park and all that. And then I started seeing that, and I was like, all right, there was more pressure on me. I'm trying to level myself out and not worry about it. But that one was probably the most awkward for me. So you see me in my performance, I played it extra safe, which at the same time, I don't take much risk anyway. I'm the type of person that, with Chad Mendes, I had to take a few more risks, because if I didn't, I wouldn't win that fight. So that's where that's where you're going to see me perform even better with these higher level fights, because I will do what has to be done to win. So in them few fights, I knew that I could take little damage, land nice clean shots, take them to the ground, punch a head through the canvas. I knew I could do that with most of my opponents. And I played it extra safe with him, because I knew his only chance was to land a lucky punch. That's sort of what I had in my head. And no disrespect, but that's what I had in my head. So there was more pressure there. But when I'm the favourite, again, I try not to worry about it. Again, sometimes I'll try and use that as even fuel, like as confidence. Be like, oh yeah, everyone knows I can do this. Yep, you can do this. So I don't know. Again, I'm really good at leveling myself out. Is that the right word, you reckon? Because either end, I can level myself out. We'll go with that. It's going to be a new word.
A fight like Shane Young's really hard, where we took it on less than a week's notice. I think they gave us like 3 opponents in 1 week, and Shane ended up being the guy. So we were preparing for Jeremy Kennedy,
So I had him
who was a grinder, grappler, wrestler, and then came Shane Young, which is he's more all-round type guy. So it does play a lot on the fighter's thing, and the guy coming in like Shane Young, no disrespect, he's got nothing really to lose and everything to gain if he gets it. If he loses, he took it on a week's notice, but he can come out there swinging and get that lucky punch hit. So there's a lot of pressure on the guy taking that fight on that week's notice, on Alex's side more than...
They are sometimes the most dangerous.
Yeah.
A young dude, like, getting given an opportunity, you've had no time to prepare for him. He's had no time to let the pressure of the situation affect him, and he has nothing to lose.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like...
And like confidence-wise, I guess I don't know if it's confidence, but like again, there's no pressure. You go in there thinking, I don't have to worry about this. I can just go in there, sort of have fun, and look for that shot. So you clearly got, I'm going to look. You've got a game plan. You can really stick to it, because nothing else worries you. And you've seen it time and time again. Like then you call me, who was that late replacement? Was it Anderson Silva that come in? And you've seen him play really safe. And I see it time and time again when there's late replacements. There's so much more pressure, Khabib and Alaquinta.
Yeah.
So they're playing it a lot more safe, I think, and I just reckon so much pressure.
When the guy's got like a title, like say for example, if you have now you got the title, you got to defend against Gastelum, and say Gastelum got injured, and they just offer the number 15 ranked guy, and they go, why don't you take that fight? And let's say we don't know anything at this stage. I'm just talking, and you go, no, we're not going to take the fight. This guy's 6'6" and tall and blah blah blah, and Gastelum's thing, like that's like the fight of that guy's life, and Rob knows nothing about him. Rob's putting his belt on the line, putting everything on the line, and the other dude's just turning up on no notice.
Exactly.
So all the pressure then is on Rob.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy just has to turn up, and he's getting the best opportunity of his life. So
100%.
the pressure is crazy. And then you go, well, he's number 15 in the world, and you're like, dude, do you understand what you're saying? Like, number 15 is. Well, you were one that's number 15 in the world.
15's
You were
dangerous.
number 15 in the world.
It just means that they're still working up. Like you know what I mean? Like it's funny how people go, oh yeah. So what do you mean? Oh yeah, we're all there. Your greatest fighters of all time were there at one stage, building up. You've got to build up from somewhere.
I actually have a question for the three of you in this. How, and in your travels and when you go back take fights, how underrated do you feel the fighters are from Australia, Pacific, New Zealand, etc.? How underrated are the fighters?
Well, I think they were, but I think they're starting to make a big impact. And as you can see, the Anzac takeover is coming through. And considering we haven't got the population or the numbers, I think we're kicking some big goals here. More so than any other country. I think it's just the Australian and New Zealand passion for fighting and being the underdog, but still taking it on board and coming up on top, And
obviously the real turning point where we started getting competitive and then taking the title, that's where everyone was like, well, after Rob done what he done, like building up to that, then everyone was like, oh wow, these guys are legit. And that, I reckon that's where it really turned around. Thanks, Rob. So, so that everyone really, and then after that, then obviously a lot more eyes are on us now, and like again, there's a lot of us that are, we're taking out a lot of wins, So
surely there's got to be like a statistic out there for like per athlete from a country in the top 10. We've got to be like one of the highest ratios, right? Like,
we'd have to,
considering
you've got to
I
think there's probably like a couple of hundred registered pro fighters in Australia. There's some gyms in America that have got more fighters than we've got in our whole country.
I think there's got to be only about 20 in the UFC from Australia and New Zealand. Like there's like
exactly
not many, and then
Probably
how many of those
are we claiming New Zealand as a country?
Yeah.
That's what I was sort of like. Are we
They claim us
as another state.
Have you been watching my? Well, not mine. I think it's everyone's now. Obviously, I've seen it with yours. Obviously, there's always the battle of Australia and New Zealand, and even me now. Now it's like a social media joke between the Aussies and the Kiwis. So every time the UFC puts something up of me, they're like going, oh yeah, another greater Kiwi fighter taking over and stuff like this. They even going, oh yeah, all the way from his I don't know, his Ottawa roots of it's saying all this stuff like as a crack up. I actually go in there and I love it. And it's just every post there is now. It's just Australia claiming the Kiwis or the Kiwis. I think it's just a joke that they all do.
Yeah,
now everyone does it. Your first 20 comments are just something to do with that. But you still got some people that haven't caught on. Who's Australian? What are you talking about?
Yeah. No, we're like brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
How what do you feel, Rob? Do you still think people that they do underrate fighters from that like Tasman region, like from New Zealand, Australia, and Perth and whatnot? I mean, Perth's part of Australia. This is the one time you get a shout out, Perth.
I'm very much in the same, but I think they were. I definitely think that there was a time when, and they still do to some extent, but they've seen the waves we can make. Like they've seen just about in every division there's an Aussie up there in the top 10. Like we're there. People are. I think the time for the newer generation of MMA fighters are catching on pretty quickly. Like there's. I don't think that the guys at the top are seeing underestimating us as much because they've seen the dominoes fall already. So yeah.
Me personally, just looking at it, I still feel, maybe it's like my own child insecurities or whatever. I'll go talk to my mum after this. But I still feel that there's like a prevailing attitude where, like people see, like, well, where do they train? Where do they, so your training's based out of here and New Zealand. You're not based out of, like another country or anything like that. like you're not based out of the US?
Well, I'm based out of freestyle fighting gym, so that's where I am all year round. And then during the camps, like I'll sometimes go, like I'll go to City Kickboxing with a couple of the boys over there, and Thailand. I've been doing that Tiger Muay Thai for a little bit, but that's only for a couple of weeks, and then I'm back. I'm always based out here.
Yeah, so your training is from here.
Based, yes.
Yeah, and your training is here as well. Like when we're saying here, we're talking Australia.
Yeah.
Not, like
New South Wales
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah. So yes, East Coast of New South Wales. You're not training overseas. You're not training like in a big gym in the US or anything like that.
The mega gyms.
Yeah, and I think that is a massive misconception as well. Like, how do you find basing yourself out of? And this is for both of you. How do you pros and cons of being in a small gym in here in New South Wales?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because a lot of people always like as you're coming up, like, oh, you need to go to the States and train, and I just like feel like, oh no, I don't. Like, you know what I mean? We literally don't. But it's obviously, having that's why sometimes like me and Joe, like we'll go somewhere and get like, obviously I like to train with as many bodies as I can. So even when we're sparring, we invite a couple of guys from around the area because I just love training with different people. So bodies, different styles, everyone's throwing something different at you, and then I love working that sort of stuff out when I'm sparring because it's just like in a fight, you need to work people out. So I believe I adapt really well in a fight, and I think it's because that's something that we've sort of always done. Like even like today come up and did some grappling, or we've been going around and sparring.
That's how we met at TP back.
Well, there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but definitely because you go to them, and then obviously Joe. He spends obviously a fair bit of time with me, so he can focus a bit on me, and no one knows me better than Joe. So that's obviously so much of a pro. So we can really, really specifically work. Every time I go in a fight, we work on things that we know what I'm good at, and we don't have to really take any chances. We know what's going to work because we know he knows me more than I do, sort of thing. You get what I mean? So, and we've got a couple of good up and comers. Colby's absolutely on a tear now, so he's training pretty much full time with us.
Colby?
Colby, yeah.
I remember Colby as well. I remember you from the wrestling comps. Like I was talking to you earlier when you were like maybe 10, 11, 12 years
young,
old.
yeah.
I remember that. And I remember you had a brother. Did you have a mullet at one stage ever?
A mullet?
Oh, this is interesting.
Oh, no, not a mullet.
A long hair?
Oh, no, well, probably like...
Yeah, it was unkept.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't a mullet, but
You got it first, Volko with a mullet.
Imagine that. I hope not.
It was
No.
like
yeah.
like long.
I remember
hair
having
at
a
the
bowl
top.
cut when I was even younger.
Yeah. It was like a,
But it was pretty full. Yeah,
It was
now,
it was like more like a bad bowl cut.
yeah, now I get paid out for having a haircut every week. He's always stirring me up about that. Right now I'm about just a week and a half, so I'm due for one. But
Good.
yeah,
Good, excellent.
yeah, I know what you mean. It actually was mate, I had a massive head too. So if I let my hair go like that with that massive head, like when I used to be 97 kilograms, as we were talking about, mate, my head was like this.
So right now, how heavy are you now walking around, Rob?
Me,
Yeah.
95, 94.
So you were the same weight as Rob?
Yes. Yeah. 97, I remember hitting the scale when
I reckon he was about 100, but he tries to take
as I
an
say,
extra
after a
3 kilos
European
off.
wedding or something, eating all that burek and that, I reckon I would hit 100 kg for sure. I hold a lot of water.
And you played football at that weight?
Yeah,
Front row.
Yeah. That was the front row, yeah.
What position did you play in football?
Like centre, lock.
And so you were a front rower?
I was a front rower. 5'5" front rower.
You could imagine the scrum, how it looked.
Exactly. Yeah, you got the front rower, got the hooker, and then you got me down here.
But you were quite successful. You played in Group 7. You played representative football.
Yeah.
You won the Mick Cronin medal.
Yep.
Do you want to explain to us what that
Yeah,
means?
yeah. Well,
It's
when
given
I
to
was
the
younger,
shortest player.
yeah. When I was younger, I was a Harold Matz for the Steelers and stuff like that. And I just never took it serious. Obviously being young and wanting to play with the mates, I stopped training. I actually remember trying to go back like a month after not training at all, and then just rocked up one day, and then the guy goes, "It's not how it works, mate," and just told me to piss off. I was like, "Oh, fair enough." But so I gave up on that really, but kept playing. Always made the rep sides, Group 7 and stuff like that, and Southern Division and your country sides. But even in first grade, I was doing that. But I got Mick Cronin medal. That was my last year of football. Got the Mick Cronin medal, players player, man of the match. I scored a try.
But is Mick Cronin medal league wide, or is it for the man of the match in the
No. That's for our league. It's
For the Group 7.
Yeah, the whole Group 7, the player of the comp. So so it's the best player in the whole comp sort of thing.
So it's a pretty big deal.
It was. Mick Cronin. Yeah, so it's it was pretty big deal. So I was stoked with that. I think I got that the year before though, and the second year I missed out on that, but I got the man of the match in the grand final. We won. I scored a try, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to end this on a good year, and because I already had a couple of fights that year as well, and I was like, I'm going to take MMA serious. And then 7 years later, I'm ranked number 4.
And at that level with rugby league, nothing went on in your head to go, I could pursue this?
Well, it's sort of a tricky one. Like, realistically, nowadays, if you're not really at the top by your 20, because I was 22 years old, like when I started training MMA. So I was like around 22, 23 when I made that decision. So by then, if you're not really, you know what I mean? I was always, like I said, I was really short. So front rower was never going to work for me if I was ever going to make NRL or something like that. But don't get me wrong, I used to do really good. A lot of people thought I was mad when I gave it up, but I knew I was never going to make it right to the top, and I'm a pretty competitive person, so I was like, I reckon I could give this MMA a crack, and I did. And then just sort of, it just went. Obviously, it rose real quick, but then it's hard because there was a time for a couple of years where I was pushing for the UFC, and that just felt like it dragged on.
I remember.
Everyone was trying to push for it, and a lot of people were like, what's this guy got to do? So people go, man, it took you ages to get there. Not really, if you look at the whole career, because I only started a few years before that. But there was a time where I was like, 10-fight win streak. I had a lot of the national titles and stuff like that. And I was just like, man, well, what do I got to do? I put pretty much everything on hold, just chasing the dream. And, just was dragging on, living with the mum. I made a promise to myself that I would be in the UFC before my first daughter was born. That didn't happen. This was all playing in my head. I was like, far out, what do I got to do? So that really dragged on.
What's that pressure like?
That was a lot of pressure. And there was one thing that Joe will remember this as well. I don't ever miss training, and I'm pretty, switched on. And like I said, what we were talking about before, if I've got problems, I can switch them off pretty good. Then there was this one time. So this is the one time where I could say that wasn't the case. I was at the gym, so he seen me rock up, and this was at that time where I was like, man, what do I got to do? Emma, the wife, was sort of like, she's been real supportive the whole time, but she was like, we can't just live here forever. We're gonna have to move out again, go back to our place. So I was like, I'm gonna have to start working again, so I can't do this full time. And then
what were you doing for money?
I was, I'll do work here and there. But I was just focusing on
What's work?
Concrete. So I was concreting and then trying to be a professional fighter. So that was pretty tough. I was relying on very little money, like from sponsors and stuff like that. But obviously the pressure was really there. And this 1 week was just it was enough. I remember, this is actually, it's going to sound so little now, but there was a campaign that I wanted to push for one of the UFCs. I can't remember if it was a Brisbane one or. I can't remember which one it was for.
I think it was Brisbane, because I remember like just seeing your name come up and even sharing shit.
Okay. There you go. So I made that, and there was a guy was making a little video for me, and he was going to get a couple of big sites to put the push out, and we're going to do a big push, and it was just dragging on, and everything just kept going bad. I know this sounds so little. It's like, well, it was only a bit of content you were trying to push. But all that other pressure, and that just built up. I remember pulling up, and it was dragging on this whole week, and I was just like, you know what, I've had enough. That's it, I'm going. I just took off and went home. Never done that before. And even Joe rings me up, and he's like, "Oh, are you all right? What's going on?" Like, this was probably the lowest point in my career. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, I don't know what I even told you. I probably acted like, I had to come." Yeah, I would have lied to him. But then it's just funny. So this is where. Now, there's a catch to this story. So this is where I was like, the lowest point in my career, no doubt, that was definitely the lowest point in my career. And then that weekend, I end up getting my major sponsor, like sort of just come out of nowhere and just said, oh, you want to do this? And then boom, there's a bit of money, which just made me be like, well, a bit of pressure off. I'm like, well, that's going to help. If I do move home, I've got a bit of coin now to play with as well. And then the weekend after that, I got the UFC contract. So it was just went from the lowest point in my career to a week after the highest point in my career. And that was, I know I wasn't positive through that couple of days, but we still stuck to it. And just, obviously you're going to be battling emotions the whole way through, but I've always been really positive and stay positive. That's one thing you can take out of that.
But it's funny because those little things, like when your cup's full, it's full.
Yeah.
So then when you find out something doesn't go the way you...
Yeah.
So you also, Rob, you already had little Jack was on the way before you were already in the UFC, but you hadn't really started to make enough money. Well, I don't want to speak on your finances, but like...
When Jack was born...
Yeah, just before Jack was born. I think that was Hester.
Yeah, I think...
Sorry, I'll give my perspective on it in a second.
Yeah, my early. I think a lot of athletes that jump into the UFC and they try to make MMA a career struggle with finances. Like me in particular. Like I don't have a particularly rich family. Like my parents are split up, and both parents are in housing, so didn't have exactly the silver spoon to work with. So trying to live fight to fight, just to get paid, so that you can pay bills and stuff like that, is a tremendous amount of pressure, like to deal with, and like at that point you can't miss fights for injuries. You can't afford to be sick. You literally can't afford to get hurt, and it's it is so hard to.
That's a lot of pressure, especially when you've got a fight and then you've got that added pressure of your family, can't get hurt, you have to take that fight. Yeah, like the Shane Young fight is a perfect example for Alex, where if he was in a better financial situation, he wouldn't have had to fight, but he needed the money, he needed to fight. And guys don't realise just because you make it into the UFC, you're not a millionaire. Man, personally, I think it's embarrassing, some of the money that the UFC
ridiculous.
Pays out.
Absolutely ridiculous.
I think once you get to the UFC, they should pay you a salary and you shouldn't have to worry about work. You should just worry about your training and everything else. And then just about performing, it'd make the athletes a lot better mentally and physically, because they have that thing, when you're getting $10,000 to fight, that's just...
And what's crazy, you get 10 grand. And the people that don't know, they look and they go, 10 grand for a fight. Oh, and I think like, yeah, but you might do it for the thrill of victory, but you're not doing it. That's not your livelihood. Like it's not what you're doing for a living. And when whatever sum of money you get, you take 10 grand, split that in half because tax just took it, because you just took 10. Then from that, you got to pay your coaches, your managers and everything. And the thing with that is like, people go, oh, the managers are assholes, the coaches. Fuck, they've got to live too. Yeah. So everyone's got to live. So from that 10 grand, you might walk away with maybe 2-3 grand. And
let's remember, you're not fighting the next week. You're fighting. You might be not fight. You might only fight 2-3 times if you don't get injured. Yeah. You get injured. And that 10 grand you got cut in.
Spread that out.
Yeah, that's got the whole year. Good luck with that. You know what I mean? Like it's.
To me, like I said, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that an organisation that's making supposedly all this money can't look after its assets, which are its fighters. I've spoken to a lot of like trainers like Eugene and I. We discuss this in depth how it's so wrong. Guys like Alex should be on $1 million. Guys like Kai Kara Francis and all these guys coming up, they should be 50, 100 grand in their pockets. Otherwise, how can you live and especially, I feel sorry more for these guys like Rob and Alex that have got families and wives, and they're lucky that they stick by them and have been there for them, because if you're a single man, you might be able to get away with it, but when you've got a family, there's so much extra pressure on you on that fighter's head, because it's not only himself he's got to think about, he's got his kids and his partner to think about.
On this, and you might be, I don't know, I'm not, but I'm curious, we'll start with Joe. We're talking about money, and we're talking about looking after the fighters and looking after the product, which is the fighters and whatnot. And then we on that topic, how do you feel about your guy fighting, or do you fighting guys that could be on steroids? Because you're clean. Let's assume you are. I'm assuming you are. You're clean. You got to fight a dude that's not. And I'm not saying anyone isn't, but I'm just let's
Let's be real.
Yeah, like
most of them bloody are. It's getting ridiculous.
It's bad, and then so that's like you're not getting paid a lot. The dudes aren't losing much, if at all. Like you might get like people go, you got a 2-year ban, and you're like, well, I'll fucking take that.
Well, yeah, someone gets a little injury, they're getting the same.
100%.
I'm bothered because I've been a little vocal about it because it's just ridiculous. Some of these people, getting a little slap on the wrist is like it's proper cheating. You know what I mean? And you got some people. This is how I look at it. Some people act like it's like you see people on the internet sometimes, which I shouldn't be watching it anyway, looking at that stuff. And you act like, oh, who cares? You're acting like it's not a big deal. It's like, wait a second. So something that I've always had is strength. That's a part of
you're physically
strong. I've always been very physically strong and fit, and obviously explosiveness and stuff that you got to really work for that and skill and all that. Now I'm getting a lot, obviously I'm learning a lot more now, but that was always my main tools. And then you've got these guys that will probably be a bit more faster than me. They're going to have their skills. And then now they're just as strong. They're just as fit. They can train all year round because they're taking stuff, and people don't realise how much that would be, playing a factor. That's why I actually, I don't like to usually rub people's name in the dirt like that. But Chad Mendes obviously was suspended. That's how I called him out. I go, I know he's going to be ranked. I don't think he deserves it. Coming off a suspension like that from, I threw his name in a bit of dirt, saying from cheating, but get a little slap in the wrist, come straight back into top 5 after a win. I knew that was going to happen. I go, I don't think that's fair. He should fight someone like me. So that's what I was pretty vocal about that, and it got me the fight. So I might have to throw more people's name in the dirt just to get fights.
but you know what's crazy as well. Like if you're on gear, that extends your career so much. Like these guys, that basically gives you an old head on a young body. You know, so you've got guys that are fighting that are 40 years old. And like, again, not anyone in particular, but dude, like, fuck off, what I mean? That's not, you're not clean, what I mean? And there's people that like, they'll argue it, and you're like, first of all, the USADA testing, that's dog shit anyways, but like, dude's failed your test. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not anyone in particular, but in the past, this person has failed your test. How the fuck are we even debating whether the guy's clean or not? And then because when we're talking about, that's what I was saying with you, Joe, like when you're talking about the money the fighters are earning, and then on top of the fact that you're getting paid peanuts, you're fighting dudes that are fucking gassed to the eyeballs, and it's a fucking joke. It's not even like, oh, do you think they are? Like, how do you feel about that? Well, I feel lovely. Thanks, fella.
It is. It's so wrong. But how can you police it? To me, when the USADA first came out, and Alex just got into the UFC at that stage, and I thought this is the best thing because, like Alex said, Alex has always been really, really strong. But guys can level themselves out by taking a bit of gear and just be just as strong. So it gave Alex. He's naturally gifted strong, so he could use his gift without a person, cheating to get that gift, And I think whether it's USADA or the UFC or whoever, have to take, not get this slap on the wrist, make it that if you get caught cheating, you're going to lose it for maybe 4 or 5 years. So there's your end of your career unless you're very young, and stop wanting these guys to take the easy way because it's always easy to go the easy way. It's harder to go the hard way. Do the training, eating right, not recovering as good. There's a lot of benefits to taking gear.
And what percentage of people do you feel? Not necessarily guys that you fought, but what percentage of guys would you feel in the UFC would be on the gear? On some kind of gear? On some sort of performance-enhancing drug, if you had to guess?
Like, a lot of them.
What's a lot of percentage?
Oh, man. I reckon at least 50% maybe. Some of the pre-workouts some of these guys are taking are like
they pop hop for.
Yeah, well, the ones that do and the ones that don't haven't yet. Like they're like one ingredient away from like speed or stuff like that. Like they are ridiculous, you know. But yeah, you know, I don't see it changing. I don't.
So when you have an opponent, right, and the opponent pops hot, are you like? Is it a thing where you're even surprised anymore? Like you might be like, oh really? I didn't know he was, but you're not surprised that dudes were cheating.
Nah, not at all. And it's like, you know, to the point where I'm numb to it. Like, if an opponent of mine pops hot, or like if I'm thinking I'm gonna have to fight a dude that I suspect is heavily juiced, like I don't even care anymore.
Yeah,
like,
but you don't care anymore, and I guess this is where I was going with it while I was asking Joe. No, but the two of you kind of like have to be like, well, fuck it, I'm going to fight anyway. So you kind of have to have that mentality. But that's why I'm asking, as a coach, how do you feel? Because like for me, I understand the mind that Rob has and the mind that Alex would have, because you can't go, well, fuck, if you're going to fight him, you're going to fight him. But then when you stopped fighting and you understand that you've sustained this amount of damage at the hands of someone that had an unfair and illegal advantage over you, then you look at guys like Mark Hunt and you're like, oh, fuck yeah, like
100%.
Be pissed off, sue the shit out of people. Because when you're young and you're bulletproof and you've got to fight this guy, you're going to fight him. Plus you have to make that money to feed your family. It's not like there's a choice. But as a coach, sometimes you're looking at it going, this is fucked.
And it's sort of known that there's camps, I don't know so much here, but in America, that there's some of these major camps, you know, that a lot of fighters go there because they can take stuff and they've got the good masking agents and nothing's going to show up, you know. That's why they are the big gyms, you know, and a lot of the fighters do go and train there, not so much for the coaching, because like I always say, man, a jab is the same at your gym as it is at my gym, and same as the arm bar is the same, you know. It's who you're training with, but a lot of these guys are going to these gyms because they get a little bit extra than just the instructionals, you know.
Dude, you can look up, you can just look it up as it's there, it's on records, and like there's, you know, I'm not going to put people out there, but like it's fucking a whole bunch of people from the same gym under the same management. And you can Google it, so it's not me that's saying it. But like, and it's all for the same kind of stuff. It was like, oh, this tainted supplement, it's all the same supplement. And dude, I remember like going to the gym when I was a kid, and it's never like some nerdy little like kid that gets the tainted supplements and gets yoked. It's always like these guys that are fighting that get the tainted supplements. Like, you know, it was like the nerdy kid that sat next to me and fucking rolled.
I used to be completely oblivious to it. I had like no idea, because I remember even before I was doing MMA and back in when I was playing football and stuff like that, and like people would throw out like, oh, he's juicing, and I used to be like, oh, you and your conspiracy theories. And I was thinking, as if these guys, you know, I didn't think like I said, I was completely oblivious to it. Where now I'm like full going fucking Nate Diaz on and going, they're all on steroids. You know, it's that sort of, like I can't believe it. Like I used to literally have no idea what it was like until you started seeing, like obviously I was paying it, you look at it now, it's almost bloody every few weeks someone's bloody getting popped.
And they're the guys that are popping.
And it's not their fault too. Like, let's just put that out there. It's never their fault.
It's
never
exactly
their fault.
But what? Can someone tell me how people actually believe some of the shit that they hear? They go, oh yeah, no, but it was the foot cream, and I was like that, and I'm like,
the fuck are you taking foot cream for?
Yeah, oh,
that powerful.
Yeah, like,
yeah, but it's just like,
what type of fucking foot cream is that?
Like,
what's wrong with your foot?
Yeah.
Like, if you need that level of shit to fix it,
like there's still like, even with the whole John Jones thing and all that, you know what I mean? You still see so many people going, oh yeah, but it's because of this, and they're just throwing these facts at.
They're not facts.
That John Jones fucking threw out there. So you know what I mean? So they're just repeating exactly what they said. I was like, come on, man, like, you know, have a bit of common sense in there. Like, it's just, you know, it's hard to talk about because it gets you frustrated, but at the same time,
there was a thing I read about it. One of the fighters, again, won't say his name, but he accidentally took EPO. And I was thinking, how do you fucking accidentally take EPO? Like, do you go to get fucking, I don't know, chocolate milk out of the fridge and then you just drink EPO or inject it. You just inject EPO. How the fuck do you accidentally take it?
What was there? Yeah, mate, there's a few of them out there, isn't it?
Well,
Was
to
it
me,
the
I've
pill,
always-
the Viagra pills and
Yeah.
stuff
Oh,
like
yeah,
that? They
yeah.
go.
Well, when you think that guys are cheating on, like on the local scene, they're taking gear. What's going to happen when they get to this international level? You know, and it's how good they mask it. You know, more than anything. You know, if they can't find the paper trail, it's really hidden. You know.
Like again, I don't like throwing people the name. You know, so with the Chad Mendes thing. So
Obviously, do it anyway.
yeah. So
Don't
obviously,
want to say any names.
yeah. So I've already, I've already done that, and then after the fight, I've done that to get the fight. But at the same time, so I obviously said some of them things, and then people would be like, "Oh no, yeah," but that's where the foot cream come from. So it was a foot cream supposedly, and he didn't fight it. He because he said that he had a business to worry about. I'm not that worried about it. I don't need to he didn't want to fight
It was
it.
only 2 years anyway.
Yeah, exactly right. They bloody can do that. I'll make my money here, and then who cares? I can fight in a couple of years. Now you get a decent injury, that's the same case anyway. You know, you have
But
the
I
year
don't-
off, and then
they
you.
don't- they don't get tested when they're off either. So it's like you could just gear off your head and train. Imagine the super
so they
camp.
won't do it.
Imagine
So you're
the,
off the.
Yeah, no. Imagine the super camp you could have if you're juicing off your brain every day, eating whatever you want because there's no fights coming up for like 2 years. Like,
It's mate. It's just
Did
funny.
John
Like
Jones
some of
do
us,
that?
I'm like completely opposite. Like I honestly don't like. I won't even have protein powder because I'm worried. Like I don't
Yeah,
know.
you have
You
to.
know what I mean? Like I'm actually getting into stuff now. That, like in a company, like a nutrition company, and they're doing everything USADA approved. So at least I know what I'm gonna be sort of taking and that. But I literally don't. You get them little protein balls and that at shops and that. I don't touch them. I'm that scared.
I'm getting so paranoid. It's the fact that like, if I walk into a restaurant and the cook looks at me and goes, "Rob, champ, how you doing, man?" I go. I'm thinking like, and then my meal comes up. I'm like, you little.
What does he
Like,
put
just
in?
squirt
Yeah,
a bit
I'm
of-
just like a little bit of squirt. I'm like,
It's marinade. Don't worry.
And
Straight in the
the
meat.
problem is, another thing is like, I would like to take supplements because the paranoia is kind of keeping me away from them. I would like to
Exactly
take
right,
supplements like the roster because I have a very strong supplement sponsor at the moment, and they've all been USADA approved, and I have to take it so carefully because like I don't know how these tainted supplements happen.
Yeah.
Like, why is my tub different to your tub? Like, how does that even work?
I know
And,
because it's not really tainted supplements for the other people. That's probably why.
Yeah, I think
You know, Bisping
But
was
it-
saying on his podcast, Bisping was saying that he goes, he never gave a fuck. Like he'd never really watched what he ate, and he like wasn't really thinking. And when he had to take supplements, he'd just grab it, scoop it in, and drink whatever. And he'd kind of read the label and didn't give a fuck. And he goes, and never once did he fucking.
that's what I mean. It's like tainted supplements. I don't think really is a thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it exists.
But I mean, we don't want to take that risk,
No,
so
no, no, but
we
you-
just don't touch it at all.
You know what the thing is? Like, it does exist because, like, of the way that things are. There's been studies done that it is true. But if you were to take like the small percentage of athletes in the world, there's probably 400 athletes or 500 athletes in the UFC signed to the UFC, right? 500 athletes in the world. There's probably, I don't know how many. Out of those people, so many people are finding the tainted supplements.
Yeah, like what are the
Not-
odds?
Not in other sports
Yeah.
as much. You know what I mean? Like,
It's like I'd understand if like the supplement company come up to you and goes, "Here you go, buddy. This one's for you." It's like, but yeah. So I just try to stay away from like. Surely you got to be questioning yourself if you take a supplement and it makes you feel like a god. Like if you're taking stuff before training. And then you get to training and you're ready to run 10Ks in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You're like, you got to question yourself. and be
Exactly
like,
right.
This stuff's pretty good. So like, I just take like your proteins and things that don't make me feel, like don't mask what I feel because that's not normal.
And if you were really hard done by getting done by these, say John Jones really was getting done by tainted supplements, you really think you're going to fucking touch a supplement ever again?
Yeah, that's what I
You reckon
mean.
you're going to take it another 3 times?
If you took a tainted supplement, right, and you got stripped of your belts, like, again, not anyone in particular, but I would sue the fuck out of that company.
Yeah, like
Oh,
you
mate.
could.
And I would be so traumatized. I would not be able to walk past a jar.
Mate.
Like,
I'll,
yeah, and
I'll
you
turn
could
vegan because I'll be too
you
scared to
could
see
s-
what's in meat or something.
you could
What do they
sue
inject?
the protein the supplement company, sue their pants off. If you're a high profile athlete like John Jones, who like in the case you could sue, like I've missed X amount of money because of your supplement that was USADA, that you have cleared with the USADA approved ticking. It's like, it's a payday. You're not going to have to fight again. Like, you're taking that company over at that point. You know what I mean? But and another thing, like, people aren't getting popped from a tainted protein. You know what I mean? Like no one goes, oh, my WPI is tainted.
Yeah.
It's always some rocket fuel shit they're
Yeah.
taking in a scoop that makes them feel like they can run a marathon like tomorrow, today, now, twice a day. Like, it's never, oh, my lean WPI fresh cut. Like,
But I mean, some of them actually end up getting reduced saying and stuff like saying, "Oh yeah, it was this."
No,
But
because
I want to know if they sit there and like, all right, this is what you're taking, and they got backup. So if you were to get done, these is in this. You
No,
know, whether they got backup plans for that. type-
they would definitely. You would definitely have. Like, there are supplements that are tainted.
Yeah,
in
I
each,
reckon.
in each batch. In particular, when they make, say, for example, I don't know, this batch here. This is the first batch it's coming through. That batch, like, there's been studies done that those batches do have like illegal substances that will give you the results.
Yep.
That you end up buying a second batch, and other people buy it. So if you know that supplement's going to be tainted, and you know people that are involved in the making of that, yeah, you can get your hands on the particular batch that has been tainted, and you put that away in your fridge or in your wardrobe.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah, and then you go,
Oh, whoops.
yeah, this has whatever in it, and then you go, yeah, and
See,
then you
that's
go,
what I-
hey, here it is, man.
Oh,
Here it is.
well, this one, shit.
Fucking
how
hell.
come I don't see any stories of the dudes that are getting popped for tainted supplements, like any court cases after that? Like, how come I never hear so and so
Mate, I'll be fighting
just
for
made
fucking ever.
bank from this tainted supplement because it ruined his career?
Yeah,
Like,
because they're not, like that. That's the thing. Like, the fact that it's a tainted supplement would mean that it has stuff in it that shouldn't have it. And they've breached. Man, how do you put, I don't know, whatever in something like you go, I bought a tin of Milo, and would you believe it had I don't know.
GH in it.
Something.
It had GH. fucking
Like this,
in it.
I've been giving this Milo to my son for a few days, and he's twice the size.
Yeah.
Like,
You had an interesting story about how Alex started MMA.
Yeah, well, he came down, pre-season to get fit for football, and we had a bit of a seminar with a few other gyms, and we were doing a sparring session afterwards. And Alex came down, and Alex was his 100 kilos or 97, as
97
he likes
is
to
cool,
say.
mate.
And I had another heavyweight guy there, and there was another heavyweight guy. He was a local up-and-coming guy. He had 4 or 5 fights and 4 or 5 wins, and and I was going to put him against my heavyweight. And as I'm getting the guy strapped up, I noticed the other trainer has thrown Alex in with this guy that's had the 4 or 5 fights, and I tried to get to the cage to stop it, but they'd already started. And next minute, in the first minute, Alex has submitted this guy, and this is probably with about 3 months of training. And then he submitted him again, and I thought, this guy's got a little bit of potential. So I asked him, would you be interested in having a fight or something? He goes, I've always wanted to have a fight. And that was the start of the career. And the other backstory to that is, I remember Alex going to me, I need 60 tickets to his first fight. And I said,
just for close friends, family.
yeah. And I said, look, Alex, because Alex was a really nice, quiet guy, and I was very respectful. And I said to him, look, Alex, everyone says they're going to come to your fights, but you know, you'll probably get 10, 20 of your friends. It's, you know, trying to be realistic to him. He goes, no. My football coach is coming in tomorrow with the money for 60 tickets. So I'll ring the promoter up and say, I need 60 tickets. And he goes, yeah. So he sends me 60 tickets. He gave me the money. The next day he comes back, I need another 40 tickets. So he sends me down another 40 tickets. They pay. So he had 100 plus people come up to his first fight as an amateur. And this promoter's going to me, who is this guy? I want this guy on every one of my shows.
Oh, you had a fight at, is it Anita's Theatre or somewhere in Thurul?
Yeah.
Oh, I was at that fight. What fight? Who'd you? What?
I've had a couple there. That's that would have been on Joe's show.
That's it.
Wollongong
Your
Rules,
show.
yeah.
Yeah. I went there.
I had a couple there. Which one? When was that?
About 4 years ago.
Oh, 4 years ago. That might have been the
5 years ago. Because your first fight as a pro was at middleweight, was it?
yeah.
Welter.
Was that welter? Was it welter? Actually, yeah, welterweight.
So you were fighting welterweight when Rob was fighting welterweight.
Oh yeah.
So and you never came across each other.
No.
No.
But you could have, because you have is your only loss to Corey Nelson.
Yeah.
So you both have, shout out to Corey Nelson, good fighter. You both have Corey Nelson as a common opponent. So you were in the circuit at the same time as welterweights.
Yeah.
Did
That
you
was
fought in
rude.
CFC, didn't you?
No.
No.
AFC. So that was my third or fourth fight. So I was only a couple of years into my.
Second
Obviously, it was a fight I should never have took that early in my
Well,
career.
And Corey's a big guy.
Yeah, that was a
it
welterweight.
was a round robin, okay, and we had to fight this Brazilian guy in the first round, and the Brazilian guy pulled out like a week before, and they threw Corey Nelson in, and I think, you know, like Alex didn't even have to cut weight, you know. I think you were walking around at, you know, 77 kg at that stage.
So did you know of each other at that time?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It was back there. Well, you were already in there. Oh no, because actually, yeah, I remember.
Well, I remember.
What
Rob
year
came
was
in.
that? What year was that?
The year, what he wasn't. He was already. You were in the first Ultimate Fighter, weren't you?
Yeah. The one
Yeah.
in
So
Australia.
back then, you would have been like you already done the Ultimate Fighter and all that sort of stuff. It was a little bit after.
And
we've had a few of the PMA boys fight on those cards and been down for a while.
So we're talking to one of the boys just about it, about one of the Wollongong one.
Yeah,
He
it was
fought on that
Dave.
one, didn't he?
Dave
fought on that
Francis,
one,
that
yeah.
was his first fight.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about something.
Yeah.
The Malaysian invasion.
All right. Yeah.
Tell us about it.
That's a. I'm thinking of the right thing, isn't it? That was that thing I done at Tiger Muay Thai, wasn't it? Yeah, thought so. Yeah,
Reality show.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that was a while ago now. That was just like a. I know MMA's pretty big over there, I think. So they got right into it, and then we done, because I had just done the tryouts, Tiger Muay Thai tryouts, and then.
Do you want to tell us about that as well?
Yeah, Tiger. Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, that was just like a little thing that we done for. I think it was just for a little bit of footage and stuff like that. It was cool though. Yeah, I still talk to a lot of the guys from that. But the tryouts was where that's where I, pretty much we made the decision. All right, well, let's sort of do this full time. So I was obviously concreting and doing that, and then I was like, I'll go to Thailand, do these tryouts, and see if I can get this scholarship. So I went there and. Like, I wasn't used to the full-time training, training 3-4 times a day. And obviously they wanted to see what you got, so they absolutely busted our ass, mate. It was crazy. If you go watch the Tiger Muay Thai tryouts 2014, if you look at the Muay Thai session, I don't know if you've seen it.
I've seen it.
Yeah, and mate, I actually got lucky. I had Roger Whittaker at the time that he sort of felt sorry for us because there was guys getting dropped everywhere. Like some of these Thai trainers were literally busting ribs. I remember guys got stitches. It was full on. You said you watched it. You're seeing guys getting kneed through mirrors and like over cages like this, and knees like that, dropping to the floor. And I remember I was sort of hitting pads and I'd just hear like commotion, hear people hitting the floor. I'm looking, guys are laying on the floor. I'm like, what's going on here? And people just getting getting worked. So I don't know, they had something to prove that day, but you know, I know it was just, they're not usually like that. I think there was just like, oh, let's see how tough these guys are. We'll choose some fighters out of that. But you know, it was a crazy experience. It really was. Again, it was a real eye opener for me. That really made me realise, all right, full time. Obviously, concrete and training in the afternoon was always hard, but yeah, that was just crazy. That there was like 3 days of it, and I remember, so it was a few sessions, 3 or 4 sessions a day, and that was for 2 days. And the last day, we had to get up really early and do the big Buddha run, they call it, and it's just kilometres up a huge hill, massive hill, and then we didn't even get breakfast before that, and then we had to go straight to a jiu-jitsu comp, and like didn't even get to eat or nothing. We had to weigh in and all that sort of stuff, and had to go straight into this, like, you know, it's Thailand, hot as, like, you know, and and then done that. And I probably had, because we had the pretty stacked division, me and him, but we both got scholarships. He actually beat me, so I wasn't going to say that, but yeah, no, he got me. But it was good. Again, it was a real eye opener for me. But yeah, it was unreal. Great, crazy experience.
So it just cut out for him.
They got sick of my voice, eh?
So what no, is done. The video is not working.
We're still live.
We're still live. Can we get the video up?
I don't know what's happening with it.
Apologies, people were just looking for the video, but yeah, so yeah, no. So you were saying about the
it was a crazy experience. Like, you know, just again, you know, at the time it was people from all around the world, you know, all on the same, you know, everyone was on the same sort of goals. You know, everyone wanted to get these scholarships and stuff like that, and it was just crazy. So I didn't know if I was going to get it, but I ended up getting one of the scholarships, and that's where I sort of decided to go full time. So obviously I was still based out of Freestyle Fighting Gym. That's another thing that I haven't told you. I've got to mention Joe Lopez's name 4 times. It's in our contract we got. So if I don't mention his name 4 times, I get in trouble. Joe Lopez, Joe Lopez, Joe Lopez, Joe Lopez. There we go. That's done. Okay. He knew I was going to throw that out there. So
what's that like training in those transient gyms like that for both of you, because you both have?
What's this?
In the like transient gyms where people coming through all the time.
Yeah, well, that's again, how I was telling you before. What I love about training, like I love just training with all different styles. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of guys out there got something to prove, and you know you've got to be careful sometimes as well. So now we're at a stage where we sort of, you know, pick and choose our training partners a bit better. But at the same time, yeah, you got so many guys that you learn a lot from just rolling with someone different, because they're going to do the littlest things different. You got to adapt and just things like that. So I absolutely love that side of things, but at the same time, you got to be careful who you go with. So I've been injured a couple of times as well. So
what's it like for you?
Yeah, it's hard. It's like same as what Alex said just then. Like, it is good because you get different looks and you see the different levels. So it's great to experience that, but yeah, it's hard to trust people. It's hard to trust people, especially the more popular you get or the higher up you make it. There just seems to be 2 extra people that want to come down and try to hurt you and try to break you and try to prove something on you. Yeah. And it's hard to get that. Like especially in our scene, it's like training with guys our weight. We may be fighting on another day, and that. Or they may train with other people that you don't want them to have looks at. Like it's hard because you got to kind of keep your skill set to yourself, so that it's a surprise for your opponent in a way. So yeah, I guess that's a side of it that I don't really like.
Exactly.
It's
right.
like it's kind of
100%. There's definitely pros and cons to it all. That's how I used to look at it. Now I've a little bit more. Obviously, I still go there and train, but again, I'll do most of it. Like say with, you know, Frank Hickman or George Hickman, so I'll have like the few of the guys that I know I'll get a good work out of, and you know, specific things I need to work on, and you know, and Joe makes sure after me over there. So
you know one of the things I've only trained once in Thailand, but you know, like one of the things that training in transient gyms is fucking the hygiene.
Oh, right, yeah.
Not. I didn't train at Tiger. I'm not calling our gym out or anything, but I've trained at a particular gym in Thailand, and I've trained in other gyms all over the world. And you know, like you get people come through and it's dirty. The place is dirty. Not all places. Sometimes the gym's clean, but people that are coming through are dirty.
Exactly right.
And me and Joe were talking about that earlier. Then you have guys that come over, they come to our gym, they've been training somewhere else, and they've picked up some shit on their skin or whatever. That is probably my number one thing. More so than the dude. Like when you're rolling with someone, I can probably handle that, but it's like hygiene and people don't care. Did you find that a lot?
Yeah, you do get it, especially when you're over there. So you got a lot of people that are there for a couple of weeks. So they want to get the most out of their training camp as they can. So they've got big staff, and sometimes they don't even bloody hide it. You're sitting there looking at this big staff, and I'm like, at least hide the bloody thing, you know what I mean? Like now I'm going to be worried about it the whole bloody time. But you know, that, I don't know, I guess you see that in all gyms sometimes as well. But yeah, you're definitely going to get that as well. But at the same time, when I go there, you know, if I go to any gym, obviously you need to make sure, you know, your hygiene, you know, look after yourself and make sure you have a quick shower or something like that straight after it. But yeah.
What's next for you?
There's only a few people in front now at the moment, so yeah, well, guess we're just waiting. So we haven't really heard nothing back just yet. But you know, like again, you've got guys like, you know, Aldo and Moicano who's going to be fighting, but they won't be fighting. I mean, they're fighting. When are they fighting? I think February or March or something. So they can't fight till the middle of the year. I don't really want to wait that long. Again, you know, I've got a family. I want to fight as regularly as I can, get, you know, make as much money as I can. And then you got Ortega, who's you know, he's bloody injured. I think he had a hand surgery or something. Really, that's all that could fight in the next few months would be Frankie Edgar, really, which is another, you know, big name. And you know, I'd love that, and that definitely would move me forward and open a lot more eyes. But you know, and obviously Max Holloway. But you know, whether I got to, you know, fight for someone first, so be it. But you know, I want to fight soon. But I don't want to take any backward steps either. You know, for, you know, fight someone. Oh yeah, you can fight, but has to be this guy. But I mean, then I've got to fight someone in front and then fight for the title anyway. You know, I want that title.
Fuck, you should go for it, man, for sure. How do you feel about fighting Max?
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm a big fan of Max. I love watching him fight. You know, he's a gamer. But at the same time, you know, what I'm seeing him do to other people, you know, I don't think that's the case for me. You know what I mean? A lot of people like look at that like, oh, you know what I mean? But you know, he loves coming forward. You know, obviously I can't give too much away, but at the same time, we all know that he's a pressure fighter. Even though he's tall and that, he's not really the type that really uses his range. He comes forward hard. So that's, you know, he does a lot of the work for me. So if you're going to put yourself in that position, you've got my big punches to worry about, and then you've got my wrestling, and then my pressure there to worry about as well. So I think that, you know, and I'm really fit as well. So, and I believe, you know, my last fight sort of showed that I got a decent chin as well. So that was good. But I just think I'm a bad matchup for him. I think he just needs to prove himself against a wrestler. And then, you know, obviously he's done so much. Aldo's, you know, one of the greatest of all time. And, you know, Max is like right up there, you know. But I think he needs to take out a wrestler type fighter. You know, that's why it could have been me, Chad Mendes, or Frankie Edgar. But, you know, whether his chin would be as good or stuff like that. You know, I just think I've got a few tools that gives Max Holloway some dramas. But at the same time, I respect him as a fighter. But I'd love that fight.
How easy it is for you to make the weight?
Yeah, I make weight pretty easy. So it's weird. So I hold a lot of water. So I fluctuate a lot. So you look at me. I actually on the last card, I end up. You got the percentages. You know what?
Yeah, I think. You know, they waited us in the once we got to the stadium, and Alex had put on 14%.
So they go by percentages.
The next guy was 9.9.
Yeah, I was going to say like 10% would be big.
Yeah, so I put on 14%. So
Overnight.
Yeah. So I end up like even a week out, I'll be about 72. And I'll stay there 72. Yeah, I'll stay around 72 even 4 days out.
What's the kilos limit? 67?
66. Yeah, so I'll be about 6 kg out, and then during the week, and then, you know, I start water loading. It slowly comes down. Then I obviously cut the carbs and the sodiums, and I do it that way. And then my weight just drops each day. Like, I'm still water loading. I'm, you know, fully hydrated and that, but I just start depleting, and then I'll lose like a kilo a day, and then I'll probably only do 1 or 2 kilos in the sauna the day of the weigh-in. So it's I guess, obviously some people don't do that, but I mean, I know some people that they'll do what I do and they still need to do 4 or 5 kilos that day. But
well, that's the part that blows me out. There's guys trying to water cut the night before or 2 days before. They're in their sweatsuits trying to cut, which, if you understand anything about weight cutting, it's the worst thing you can do for your body is to try and cut the water early. Yeah, exactly. And that's why people are getting.
Well, that's the thing. You can do it. You can sort of do it like while you're hydrating. Like like I said, like it's just as simple as starting to cut some of the carbs and the sodiums and that, and then because I'm water loading, so I'm drinking, I'm hydrated, I'm pissing clear all day, but yeah, I'm just starting to get rid of all them toxins, and all that, and then all of a sudden my weight just goes boom, 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 boom. But then like I said, mate, I look at a piece of bread and I'll put on a couple of kilos. So once after the weigh-in, I'll have my we have our faux soup. That's my thing. Like 2-3 hours after the weigh-in, so get the fluids in. Then I have that. But after I have my rehydration, and I'm back up to 74. So that's I used to get up to like 76 even.
Well, you got to 76 this time.
No, not this time.
Close, yeah.
I would have been close with clothes on. I remember, chucking clothes on that.
You were pretty close to 76.
But I think I was a 74 something when just before the fight when they weighed me in, which is pretty big, especially for my weight. But that's what I mean. I fluctuate. When you're asking me about my weight, like, how much you weigh now? When I say 74, that's what I'll be at the end of the week. So at the start of the week, like I said, I fluctuate. If I eat, I had a big seafood platter on the weekend, got my barbecue going. And sorry, I probably shouldn't be talking about that sort of stuff around you, mate. So I started smashing the food, and I fluctuate a lot. So I hold a lot of water, and then come the end of the week, I'll be up to 78. I'll touch, on the Monday morning, and then by Wednesday or Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm back down to like 74. So I fluctuate crazy.
But that last water cut was probably one of the easiest one that we've done.
I still had to do 2 kilos, but it just come off so easy.
Yeah, we did it in under. He actually lost more than. We started hydrating straight away because he'd lost more than what he was supposed to within under an hour, we did a hot bath for about 15 minutes and just laid under some towels. And
there was a pound under or more, I think, or maybe 2 pounds under. No.
How do you see the fight for him with Max?
I think Alex will probably be too strong. Like Alex said, Max is a gamer, and he's got, he knows his distance and he can move out, but he's not a power puncher. He's more of if he hits you enough times, it's going to do some damage. But I think if he wants to sit there in the pocket with Alex can throw bombs, which, let's see how he can take them. And then he's got the takedown, and Alex pressing him against the cage, tiring him out. Will he be able to throw those punches at that speed? He'll do good in the first couple of rounds, I'd say. But as the fight goes on, I'd say Alex will take a little bit out of his gas tank, because he has got a big gas tank,
Yeah, he's fit, so I know he's very fit, and he probably will go. He wrestling. We haven't seen him wrestling, get sort of thing. But I'm sure he does, so much rounds in the gym anyway. So I'm not expected to gas him out, but at the same time, if he was to come at me like he does, again, like I just think, a lot of the openings, like I fight, I see what's in front of me type of thing. And if you're going to come at me like that, you're going to leave a lot of opportunities for me to shoot, a lot of opportunities for me to throw some of my bombs, and just things like that. So I just think that, don't get me wrong, he's a champ. So at the same time, you got to respect that. But, for people to be like, just because, styles make fights, we all know that. And I just think that, I think that I can create a lot of problems for him.
How do you see the fight going?
Yeah, it's a hard fight. Like you said, Max is the champ. He's good at that volume punching, but if you can get him worried about heavy hands, or get him worried about shots, which starts to stop him from coming forward as much, then you start pressing forward. Like, you have the ability. He gets hit. He gets hit, and you got heavy hands. So
that's what I mean. Like, he's such a gamer, though. So with Ortega, let's be realistic. With Ortega, he didn't have to take nowhere near that much damage, but he had something to prove. He's just like, let's go, you know what I mean? Like he'll just keep going. You throw bombs, he'll sit there, smile, and just keep throwing. And I respect him for that. That's unreal. But at the same time, you know, I think I'm going to throw a lot heavier punches than Ortega. And I won't be on the back foot throwing them. Like, I'm going to be coming in heavy. But then once you throw a couple of shots in there, I see it all the time. Like when you're sparring people, once they obviously they start worrying about takedowns and stuff like that, they get a lot more hesitant, and that's when a lot more things start to land. And then they're constantly battling in their head, and that does wear them down. But at the same time, we have to wait and see. But again, I've got a lot of respect for him. I'm not going to say I'm just going to walk through him, but I wouldn't, if I go out there and if I was to make it look easy, I wouldn't be surprised. That doesn't discredit what he can do. It's just, again, styles make fights.
Yeah.
And if you're going to put yourself in a position that I'm so used to him, so good there, and that's your game, it could just play out that way. And then all of a sudden, I'm grabbing him. I could ragdoll him. We don't know. We've got to see. I reckon I can. So give me that chance.
100%. I hope you do get that chance. We've got this fight coming up. How do you see the fight going? You got one of your teammates from City Kickboxing, Israel, is going to be co-headlining a fight with Anderson Silva. How do you see that fight going?
Yeah. Did you want to go first?
Who, me?
Yeah, I just cut you off. Sorry, mate.
No, you're all right. I'm used to it. Izzy's a very unorthodox striker. He throws things from weird angles and he pulls it off. He makes you look left and then he comes at you right. He's probably a new improved version of Anderson Silva. So it's going to be good. But I think Izzy's got youth on his side. No disrespect to Anderson Silva because he's been, one of the greats, for a long, long time. But I think his use-by date's just about there, and he's probably doing it more to line his pockets than to, form any legacy that he's already done, because, he was such a champ for such a long time, and it's time now for the new guys, Izzy and Rob, and that to hold the reins up,
How do you see that fight going?
Yeah. Pretty similar to what he said. I just think, again, I love Anderson Silva. What he's done some great things, but the games are evolving a lot as well, and obviously, the youth's on his side. I just think, it's just the wrong time to be, for Anderson to be fighting really any of the top boys. You know what I mean? So, but again, I'll be watching.
How do you see it?
Yeah, the exact same. I think Israel's just younger, for one, which is significant, and a better version of Anderson Silva, to be honest. I think a big point is that Anderson, I think, has reached the end of his career, like probably even a few years back.
Yeah.
So, I guess the biggest thing, like, we kind of know what Israel's going to bring. It's like, which Anderson Silva's going to come? Like, which Anderson Silva is going to show up on the night?
I'm a huge Anderson Silva fan, but I think Israel would have been a tough matchup for him at any stage.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that Anderson has never really fought like that matchup before. That isn't to say that he couldn't have won, because he was Anderson. But I think that even like I'm just trying to think. I don't want to be disrespectful to, but I don't think that any of the opponents that he fought leading up had the level of striking of Israel. I don't think that.
Yeah.
So
I actually totally agree with you. But you sort of say that out of respect to Anderson, sort of like me. But I mean, I think even in Anderson's prime, Izzy's still a very hard matchup for him.
I think there was a few guys.
Stylistically.
Yeah, I think there's a few guys. I think I think Jacare would have been a hard matchup. Fuck, Jacare would be a hard matchup for anyone.
Yeah,
but I think Jacare would have been a very hard matchup for Anderson. Anderson's prime. I think Rob would have been a very hard matchup as well. I don't think, again, that level of striking was Israel or Rob or Anderson. Anyone could have won in Anderson's prime, but that level of striking that Anderson had. The other guys didn't have it. Do you know what I mean? Like they had different skill sets. You know, and
it's evolved so much since then. The game, you know what I mean?
I think that would be a hard matchup. Period. And that's it. And then you got your fight, Rob. How do you feel? What do you see?
Yeah, I feel great. Kelvin's going to be a tough fight. He's a tough, rugged dude. He's young. He's fought big names. He's been there before. He hits hard. He's well rounded, and I think probably the biggest factor is he's young and hungry, like that. Like he's just gonna come in there and he's not gonna want to go away, you know. If you put that sort of combination with anyone, it's a dangerous fight. So I'm looking for a hard fight. It's going to be a hard fight. It's going to be hard fought and hard won, but I think my skill set is just going to be too much for him. I think I'm going to hit him too many times. I think I have too much power for him to try and walk through it, bite down on the mouth guard. I'm not a pressure fighter as much as I'm just kind of like a in-your-face sort of strike and then not there sort of dude. So, I just think skill set-wise, I can beat him. I can beat him.
And no disrespect to Kevin, but he's got a tendency sometimes to break down. You know, you don't know what kind of Kevin you're going to get on the day. You might get, the A1 Kevin, or you might get the B1 Kevin, and but I think Rob's just in and out speed, and his range will probably wear on Kevin, I don't think he can bring much else to the table. What Kevin can do, I think Rob probably can do better. Personally, that's my opinion anyway.
What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, well, Kevin, look, he's got really good boxing. So I've always said that, I rate his boxing a lot, but it's just not going to be enough. One thing that I've always said about Rob, and that's what I mean, that everything's evolved so much, and you see with Rob, like everything, nothing's ever the same. So there's going to be an exit. You could be going one way. It could be pretend an exit coming straight back. There's always little different things, and that really throws people off. People like to look for tendencies and things like this, and they go like that. And that's one thing that I've always known about Rob. You never know what's coming. Like it's like an unorthodox, very high level unorthodox style that I just think it's just going to be too much for him. He's just not going to know what's there, and he's just straight boxing is just not going to be enough. So I actually can, it's hard to say like what is right there because you don't want to but I just can see really Rob just being too much for him, picking him apart even early. But he's tough though. Kevin's from what I know, he's tough. He can take some good shots.
He's never been stopped.
Yeah, thought so.
Weidman choking.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
so
he's never dropped.
Yeah.
Weidman kind of dropped him in his fight, but he's never.
Is he Mexican?
He's Mexican back.
Okay. So he's got a
good chin.
He's gonna have a good chin.
He has a very good chin.
But I mean, yeah. So I just think too many tools and too many angles. Like you said, ins and outs are too good, and then it's just too much for him, I think.
Awesome. Anything coming up for you, Alex? Joe, anything you guys want to share? Any projects while we wrap it up?
On the 4th of February, we've got Frank Hickman coming down from Tiger Muay Thai with Alex to do a seminar down at our gym. So it's a good opportunity for anybody that wants to train with an All-American wrestler. And not only is Georgia Frank, not George. Frank, you'll hate that. Not only is Frank a good wrestler, but he's a good guy and he's a good coach. He really can explain the point across, and that makes a big difference because it doesn't matter how good you are if you can't explain what you're doing, it doesn't help you. And I'm just thankful that he's got the opportunity to come down to Wollongong and share his knowledge. And if anybody wants to make their way down, you can check it out on the website and see it.
Awesome. Alex, anything
else? I just can't wait till he gets it done. I just can't wait to be there. I'm going to be there, so it's going to be unreal. So I can't wait just to get there. And good luck, even though you don't need it. But let's do it.
Yeah. Appreciate it, mate.
Rob,
Aussie takeover, baby.
Yeah. Anything coming up?
No, not really. Just training and obviously I've got the fight coming up in a couple of weeks. Things are wrapping up now. Like we're still training, putting in work. It's great that it's in Melbourne. Don't have to get there till week of. which is huge for me. Haven't fought at home in a long while now, so it's great to have a home fight. It's just like manipulating the weight a bit, going to bring it down a bit, get ready for the weight cut, making sure we're still sharpening the tools, getting the head around what needs to be done. Then there's the night, and then it's done. Like 4 weeks from now it'll be over. So and we'll be talking about new things. So I look forward to getting to work, earning some money, and just getting in there, living a bit.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming down. Really appreciate it. Apologies to the listeners for losing the video, but the audio is still fantastic.
Oh, that's right. They don't have to look at my ugly head, so that's all right.
No worries. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for having us, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Peace.
Thank you.